Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This is just gonna be like another podcast but with Minecraft video footage thing. Yeah. So welcome back to that. In this video, I'm gonna tell you about something someone asked me to do in these videos, you know. So I was at an athletics carnival, right, for my school yesterday because our school's one of those like town schools, right? Sort of like a country-ish town school, you know? And we very much value sports in our school. I don't play any, so I'm very weird. And this kid who I'm acquainted with him. He's an acquaintance, I'd say. He comes up to me and he's like, "Yeah, I watched your video. It was a lot like a podcast." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of the point." And he said, "Yeah, you should talk about like political issues." And for anyone who just decides not to know or does not know what that entails, it's like, yeah, I should talk about racism, sexism, and things like that. And I considered it. And I was like, I could, talk about it, but I don't really want to. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly. Oh, my OBS is... Well, I don't want to do it solely because either A, everyone else does it, or B, it's just not my type of thing to talk about. The problem with, talking about the world's issues, like obviously they need to be spoken about, but I don't feel like all the problems in the world need to be addressed all the time. It's like, let's use this analogy. Let's say you forget to put your clothes in the wash for a couple of days or whatever. And your parent comes around and every single hour they say, "Hey, you haven't put your clothes in the wash." That's a big problem. It's a huge problem, actually. It's a massive problem. I might have to kick you. And they go on about it for like 20 minutes. Then they go away. Then they come back. And then they go at it again for the next hour. That's what I feel like the world's issues are like. People always talk about the world's issues, and instead of fixing them, they just say, "This is wrong," and that's as far as they go. And a lot of those things are wrong, Sexism, wrong. Racism, wrong. But I feel like when it gets spoken about so much, it becomes more of an issue than it was originally. Obviously, there have been great things done about things like racism, sexism, over the years that have been great, and there are still problems with it. But I feel like to talk about those things when the problem in of itself isn't exactly emerging, right? Like with myself or in the world, in the whole of society. I don't want to dogpile, really. Like, not on a specific person. I just don't want to dogpile in general. Like, if everyone's like, I don't know, this person did this thing wrong, like the entire internet is like, "Grr, you suck." I'm not gonna talk about them. I'm not gonna tell them how much they suck or tell anyone else how much I think they suck. I could think they suck the most, and they probably do. But that is not like... It's not really the point of these videos. The point of these videos is just for me to be like, yeah, I could talk about that, and then talk about it. So that's why I'm not actually talking about the issues in of themselves and more of the concept of talking about the issues, because I was like, oh yeah, that person asked me to do that thing, and I was like, I don't really want to talk about those things exactly. And I'm like, but I could talk about the other things like to do with those things. I'm like, I could, and so I'm doing that. And I feel like if you wanted to, I don't know, put a name or put a descriptor to, or just put my thoughts on literally every bad social issue. Racism, that's bad because people are people. Sexism, that's bad because people are people. I don't know, transphobia, this person phobia, homophobia, all that kind of stuff. That's all bad because people are people and should be able to do whatever they want. That's my hot take on it, guys. I'm sure no one's ever said that before. You see my point? I just speed ran every single, "Hey, yeah, what are your thoughts on this?" or "What are your thoughts on this issue?" Like, it's like, everyone can do whatever they want, and that's up to them, and that's it. You shouldn't say to someone that they are bad or worse than you solely because they are different to you. Or even if they're not and you just don't like them, don't do that. That's it. That's literally every single 20-minute video on racism, sexism, homophobia, lesbophobia. I agree that everyone should be treated equally. But that doesn't mean that everyone is going to be. I don't agree with racism or sexism or any of that. But I also don't agree that you should uplift people that are, or you should put down people that are not of color or are not homosexual or anything. Because there was a lady on the news, on the Australian news, right? And what she said is she went to a school all about, you know, uplifting young people and telling them about the difference in society, you know, gay people, black people, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they were like, yes, we understand. And she was like, good. Now, if you are a straight, white, Christian male, those specific things, then you stand up, and then she shamed them at an assembly in front of the rest of the school and told them that they were all horrible monsters. Now, that is just as sexist as any other, or that is just as sexist and racist and wrong as any other type of discrimination on any other sexuality, race, gender, or religion, just in general. And that's my belief. I believe that instead of looking for equality, you should look more for unity. Instead of trying to include everyone, you should just make everything, instead of trying to make everything mainstream, like trying to make it so everyone's got their own individual area and each individual area is, you know, the same, you make it so there's one area and all that area is everyone combined. Because that's not what people really aim for, I think. Because equality and unity are completely different things. I didn't come up with the concept, I'm sure, but in my mind, I came up with it. I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Why would you have a place like this specifically for these types of people, but not for these types of people? But then you also have one for this type of people as well. I think that instead of having all the different types of people, you could literally just have one, and it's like the human race. There's no concept of racism or sexism anywhere. And if a kid in like 100 years asks, "Mommy, why is that man's skin darker than mine?" You just say, "Oh, some people are like that." "Oh, okay." And then you explain that it's, you know, he doesn't have control over it. It's not within his control to change it, and it is not wrong to have it that way. That's what you say. And that's how I view what I would want the first 100 years to be like for the human race. You just see everyone as people. No one questions it. No one over complains about it. Twitter basically doesn't exist at this point. And that's a world of peace. That's a world with no sexism and no racism. Well, not none, but a minimalistic amount. Because there's always going to be bad people. And those bad people will always, they won't always be bad. Because if you've seen any Man video, you'll know that the bad guy always has some form of, you know, oversight. And then they're like, oh my god, I'm poor now. And then, yeah. And that's it. Equality and unity are different in my eyes. The world, or at least everyone, should be seen as a person, not as like an individual that is... not as like an individual group that is categorized to the same level as another, because that never works out. I think that you can have pride in who you are, and everyone can have pride in who they are without actually having to distance themselves and saying that I'm over here and you're over here and that means we're different. So thank you for watching the video. It's been around 11 minutes, and this is just my combined thoughts on literally every social problem in the world. You know, like this is my stance on social problems and ethical problems and political correctness and all that. And I believe that, yeah, what I said is correct. So thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed. It was alright. So thank you for watching the video, and yeah, bye.